It's been a while since we finally had the chance to get a look at the trailer of Shadow of the Erdtree. There's so much going on in the community right now, lots of analysis and theories, because FromSoft showcased many new things, including new areas, new NPCs, new enemies and new bosses. Based on their previous DLCs for other Soulsborne titles, the bosses might be the most interesting of all those new stuff. Today I want to share the speculations about the bosses we encounter in the DLC and more importantly, discuss who will be the final boss. So let's jump in. The first shown boss in the trailer is the Lion Dancer. According to Miyazaki, this creature belongs to the culture that predates the Erdtree, and from what we can see, it seems to have multiple legs and some other organs, so here we can think in two ways. The first one is just like the real world lion dancing. There are a couple of normal guys somehow sitting on each other's back while puppeting a dead almond lion beast. The real world performance also involves multiple people in a lion or dragon costume jumping on each other's back to give an illusion of a living creature. Here in the DLC, they are using a much darker version of it, using a real corpse of a beast instead of a mere costume. And the second thought, which I'm a fan of it, is that this boss's extravagant number of legs and stuff is related to the act of grafting. Maybe it's a single man under the cloak who has been grafted with a lion. We saw similar actions from the folks in the Stormveil castle, especially Godwyn. It is possible that their knowledge of grafting can be traced back to that ancient culture. In addition, its foot that resembles Morgoth ignites the idea that this is not a normal man, but an omen. And it's not only about the feet, but horns as well. There are signs of Crucible all over the DLC trailer, and it is not far-fetched if we count the Lion Dancer mainly affiliated with the Crucible. Furthermore, its uncut horns could mean it belongs to a royal bloodline, like Morg or Morgoth in the base game. But similarities to the demigods don't end here. The Lion Dancer casts a dragon cult incantation, which is a common practice by those who are related to Godwyn. All these imply this guy is an important figure in the Land of Shadow, and I think killing it would reward the Tarnish with something special, like the long-awaited aspect of the Crucible, the Wings incantation. There is another casting by this boss showcased in the trailer, the Breath attack, which is unique in terms of color shades, and we have not seen any incantations like that in the lands between. The Lion Dancer seems to be resistant to the lightning damage and surely won't be the final boss of the DLC, but it will be one of the main bosses. One of the most intriguing scenes in the trailer is the impaled old man trying to remove the golden wood or whatever that thing is. The whole thing resembles the Elden Ring logo to me. We are yet to find out who has impaled him and what the poor man has done to be punished like this. In another scene, we see a presumably family painting of a man and a woman that by the robe we can say this is the same impaled old person. The pin on the robe is somehow similar to the imp and watchdog items, for example the watchdog staff, or crystal dart which is able to frenzy imps and burial watchdogs. He might be related to or even the creator of such items. This man must have played a big role in the history of the Land of Shadow. Just like everyone related to Queen Marika, he had to be sacrificed for her purpose. As we know from Miyazaki's interview, Marika fully became a god in the Land of Shadow. And also, here is the place that the Erdtree was born, so it could be a sacrifice for the sake of the birth of the Erdtree. Another thought is that he was an asset in creating the great trees. He knows how to do it, so after creating the Erdtree, Marika impaled him not to grow another one. In my opinion, the Tarnished will fight this guy, and this removal scene is the cutscene before the boss fight. He is a barrier to what Miquella wants to do there, and only after defeating the old man he can fulfill his purpose.
Mother, wouldst thou truly lordship sanction in one soul?
Then here comes the main face of the DLC, Messmer the Impaler, the Satan himself, the sinner to the Erdtree. He is associated with all sorts of blasphemous imagery. The snakes and the fire are two main signs of blasphemy in the base game. There are a couple of questions here. Are these things blasphemous because they are being used by Messmer, or Is burning the Erdtree a cardinal sin because it happened before? Or why is Messmer banished to the Land of Shadow? Miyazaki mentioned in the interview that Messmer is on par with the other demigods and his throne could be among the others in Morgoth's cutscene. But he wasn't. Why? Are we wrong to say Messmer once burned down the Erdtree and the big golden tree we see in the base game is just an illusion? This gets aligned with the ash and doors being sealed in Leyndell. Since then, burning a great tree has been counted as a cardinal sin, and everything associated with Messmer has been blasphemous. This is only a theory and we might be surprised when the DLC comes out, but for now he seems to be wiped away from history as a result of his actions, which reminds us of the Nameless King in Dark Souls. Some of Messmer's attacks are showcased in the trailer. Red spears emerging from the ground as he performs a heavy attack. Then there is a grab attack which is common by other bosses as well, like Elden Beast or Godfrey. The last showcased move is a ranged attack which is like a fire spell that puts the Tarnished on fire. I think all these moves happen in the first phase. And in the second one, Hell let loose as he might transform into a dragon-like creature. He has eyes related to the dragon communion. If we assume he has had them for a long time, so it's not too odd to see him master that type of spells or transform completely into a dragon when it's needed. FromSoft has put Messmer in the spotlight. Even you can pre-order an 18-inch statue of him on Bandai Namco's website, all implying that he is the main antagonist of the DLC, but I don't think so. In my opinion, he won't be the final boss. He is what Lady Maria was in the Old Hunters DLC. I think after everything we saw in the trailer, just like Orphan of Cause in Bloodborne, someone other than Messmer will appear to claim this title as the toughest boss in Elden Ring. But who can do that? In the Age of the Erdtree, when someone was killed or died, their body was buried in the Erdtree burial ritual, where the body is placed in the roots of the Erdtree so that their soul can be returned to the Erdtree and be reborn. But what happens when the somehow still alive body of Godwyn was buried without a soul? There is no soul to be returned, so Godwyn cannot be reborn or returned to the Erdtree. Godwyn is dead in soul, and it's likely that the soul is gone for good, because the ritual of death was performed on both Godwyn and Ranni at the same time, meaning that the curse mark of death was split in two. Ranni's body died while her soul persisted, and Godwyn died in soul while his body remained. An alive body which now lies directly in contact with the Erdtree. An empty body, a soulless vessel, motionless, unconscious. The body of Godwyn continued to grow in contact with the Erdtree's power. The roots of the body continued to grow, and you can even see piles of bodies in the roots becoming them. This shows how much more powerful Godwyn has become right now. I mean more powerful because he was strong when he had a soul as well. He beat the mighty Fordysax, and I think in opposition to what most people think that Radahn was the strongest demigod, Godwyn deserved the title. We can see in the opening scenes of the base game that Morgoth is beating Radahn, so he can't be the most powerful one. All this power can't help Godwyn as things stay at the moment. He can't get fully animated or completely die. From the Castle Soul and the Epitaph in-game item description, we know that Miquella is actively trying to find a way to allow a true death to happen via the Eclipse ritual, but he failed once or more in the lands between. Of course, this one is more of a hope rather than speculation, but it is possible that Miquella wants to try again in the Land of Shadow to free Godwyn from the agony he is suffering from, and in the end he wants the Tarnished to kill Godwyn's body in a breathtaking fight. Confirming the prior speculations, it is official now that the person riding Torrent in the artwork FromSoft shared was Miquella. He is the key part of the story of the DLC. The Tarnished goes to the Land of Shadow to walk in the steps of Miquella, which means he has been there before and the Tarnished will trace his path. I think these golden signs will act as great sights. Also, we know that the Tarnished needs to touch the withered arm in the Mohg's boss fight arena to access the Land of Shadow. shadow. It is possible that Miquella has not been there in the cocoon all this time, and the body is only related to him, and it's not his actual body. He is in the land of shadow to pursue his objectives. In the base game, we know Miquella by two sides of the coin. He is loved by many, he cares for his family and seems to be persuasive, but on the other hand, he is the most fearsome of the demigods. The first opening words of the trailer are,
Pure and radiant, he wields love to shrive clean the hearts of men. There is nothing more terrifying.
This repeats the two-sided characteristics of Miquella. What we have seen so far in the trailer just shows the kind side of him, a non-hostile person helping us to find a way in the land of shadow. I think he did that in the base game as well. Miquella is supposedly the former master of Torrent, and the ride could be a blessing from him to the Tarnished. In the end, in the final moments of the trailer, we see Miquella bounded by some kind of holy light, which again resembles him as a non-evil person. But it won't end like this. He is the most fearsome of all. We haven't seen anything of this side of him. The Tarnished will finally figure out that he was being played all the way by Miquella. He used the Tarnished to get what he wanted. This is not unlikely at all. Marika did the same. She used everyone related to her, even sacrificed her own son to overthrow the Great Will. All the evidence lures us to believe Messmer is the main antagonist of the DLC and Miquella is the most kind-hearted man in the whole game. But I believe he will get hostile at some point in the game, maybe by our choices or something, and he will be the final boss. We beat the last demigod who is alive in the body and soul, and then we would be done with the game. But what I'm eager to know is that what do you think about this? Do you agree with me that Miquella will be hostile to us? Is he the final boss? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more content like this.